Kutoka hapa runinga ya KUTV, mimi mwanahabari wako Edward Nyamu, na kutakia wewe mpenzi mtazamaji Krismasi yenye baraka na mwaka mpya wenye fanaka.
December 2023. Good evening and welcome to KUTV News at 9. Today our top story is that arrest of former tourism CS Najib Balala over some 8.6 billion shillings which were paid in unclear circumstances. We look at that story and many other stories that are in these headlines tonight. Three people dead in Londiani accident as several others sustain injuries in Kericho and Trans Nzoia Road accidents. Former tourism CS Najib Balala freed on bail after a night in police custody as EACC trails missing billions meant for Kilifi Utalii College construction. Shanzu Court detains controversial preacher Paul McKenzie for an additional 130 days to allow further investigations. President Ruto has allayed fears linked to a raft of government policies as he promises a turnaround in the end.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Dennis Omondi.
Remember, in addition to those top stories, we also have a special feature tonight where we look at events 2023. Today, we focus on climate change and the interventions that President Ruto's government took in 2023. You don't want to miss that, so stick around for that. My sign language interpreter tonight is Mutava Mungeli. Good evening and welcome to this particular broadcast. Now, 3 people have reportedly died in an accident involving a motorcycle and a matatu that collided head-on at the Sibanga Moise Bridge in Trans Nzoia County. According to witnesses, the driver of the matatu was trying to avoid a hole in the middle of the road when he collided with the motorcycle that was coming from the opposite direction. In yet another accident, at least 47 people were injured after a bus they were traveling in veered off the road and landed in a ditch along Londiani Muhoroni Road in Kericho County. According to the Kenya Red Cross Society, the 47 were rushed to Fort 10 and Sub-County Hospital with the help of the county government of Kericho. 7 other passengers on the bus escaped without any injuries. Away from that now, controversial Pastor Paul McKenzie and his co-accused are expected to remain in police custody for an additional 130 days following a ruling by the Shanzu court granting the prosecution additional time to conduct investigations and formulate charges for all the suspects. This even as the court acknowledges the potential risk posed by the suspects in interfering with potential witnesses in the case.
The Shanzu court has once again granted the prosecution's request to further detain Paul McKenzie and his co-accused in relation to the Shakahola massacre for an additional 130 days pending ongoing investigations and the crafting of charges. The state, led by Assistant DPP Jami Yamina, had initially asked for a 180 days extension. The suspects will be detained at the Shimulatewa, Kilifi and Malindi GK prisons during the extension period that started on the 11th of September 2023 when the prosecution initially sought an extension. In his ruling, Senior Principal Magistrate Joy Mutava said that the prosecution had presented compelling reasons, convincing the court that they do need more time to gather evidence, as he further notes that the releasing of the suspects will interfere with the potential witnesses. The magistrate also ruled that the suspects' safety was also potentially at risk, mentioning instances where some of them had departed from their home with children who are presently missing and presumed deceased in connection with the Shakahola massacre. McKenzie, who has been in police custody since the second day of May when he was released and then rearrested on the same day, is accused of brainwashing his followers and indoctrinating them to believe that the world was coming to an end and the only way for them to see Jesus was to fast till death. About 419 bodies were recovered during the exhumation exercise conducted in Shakahola, with autopsies revealing starvation and suffocation to be major causes of death. Most of the bodies recovered were, however, very decomposed, making DNA analysis difficult. McKenzie has so far been convicted to 1 year in prison for operating a filming studio without valid licenses. His charge, the Good News International, has also been deregistered during his trial period. Yvonne Kemuma, KUTV.
President William Ruto has assured Kenyans that reforms in the National Health Insurance Fund (NHIF) are aimed at ensuring universal health care for all. Speaking in his home county of Uasin Gishu County, after distributing Christmas gifts alongside First Lady Rachel Ruto, the president told off critics of government's reforms cutting across different sectors, saying that they will transform Kenya in the long term.
In the spirit of sharing during this Christmas season, President William Ruto took time with the First Lady Rachel to donate Christmas gifts to the residents of Turbo constituency and neighboring areas at Isugoi home in Uasin Gishu County. President Ruto, speaking after the noble cause, told off critics of the reforms the government has made in the health sector, saying that the critics were up to no good and were opposed to the transformation of the country. Ruto said that the government was keen to ensure Kenyans do not sell their property to access health care.
Tumekubaliana ya kwamba tunabadilisha vile ya kuendesha mambo ya matibabu Kenya. Ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba hakuna mtu atauza mali yake tena ili kulipa gharama ya hospitali.
The head of state further noted that the government is revamping the National Health Insurance Fund (NHIF) to accelerate the realization of universal health coverage (UHC) in its efforts to offer Kenyans affordable and all-inclusive public health insurance. Ruto promised that majority of Kenyans who are not in formal employment will now be expected to pay 300 Kenyan shillings monthly NHIF contribution, down from 500 Kenyan shillings.
Nyinyi ambaye mko na NHIF na mnalipa shilingi 500. Sawa? Tumesema tuta assess kama mapato yako iko chini kidogo, tutakupunguzia hiyo 500, utaanza kulipa 300. Mnanielewa? Ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba hakuna Mkenya anaenda hospitali anakosa kutibiwa kwa sababu hana pesa.
The president further reiterated the government's effort in ensuring increase in food production in the country compared to previous years.
Tumezalisha chakula kuzidi ile ya mwaka uliopita by 40%. Mungu ametusaidia mvua. Mimi niliwaambia nitapunguza gharama ya mbolea. Sasa gharama ya mbolea imetoka karibu 7,000 mpaka shilingi 2,500. Na hiyo mpango tena nimefanya mwaka huu na hiyo mwaka ingine na ile mwaka ingine.
Other leaders present at the event were Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja, Uasin Gishu County Governor Cheleli Mbi, and Turbo MP Janet CTNA. Vivian Opio, KUTV.
Former tourism CS Najib Balala has been freed on a 1 million shillings bail or a bond of 5 million shillings after denying involvement in an 8.6 billion shillings graft charge against him and other former tourism officials. The funds in the fraud being trailed by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission was allocated for the construction of Utalii College in Kilifi. Balala was arrested yesterday night by detectives in Nairobi and spent the night at Kilimani Police Station before appearing before the Malindi Law Courts earlier today.
EACC spokesperson Eric Ngumbi today confirmed that former tourism CS Najib Balala was yesterday evening picked up in Nairobi by detectives and flown to Malindi Law Courts, where he alongside 3 other former tourism officials were expected to take plea against charges leveled against them. The former cabinet secretary and permanent secretary were however released on 5 million shillings bonds with a surety of a similar amount of 1 million shillings bail after pleading not guilty. The accusations include extrapolation of the cost of construction of Kenya Utalii College, later renamed Ronald Ngala Utalii College, by 8.5 billion shillings, therefore costing the taxpayers a whopping 10.4 billion shillings, a project initially supposed to only cost 1.95 billion shillings. EACC's probe further reveals how some private consultants were contracted by the Tourism Fund to come up with architectural designs and drawings of the college to supervise the main contractor. Shockingly, the drawings and designs were approved for 8.6 billion shillings. The commission further revealed that 12 more suspects in the probe are yet to be arrested and were directed to report to EACC headquarters or the nearest EACC regional office. While the EACC did not document the exact role Najib Balala played in the alleged scandal, it was noted that the cabinet secretary was facing 10 charges, including 5 counts of willful failure to comply with the law relating to procurement, contrary to Section 45, Article 2B of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act of 2003, 4 counts of unlawful acquisition of public property, contrary to Section 45, Article 1 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act 2003, and 1 count of abuse of office, contrary to Section 46 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act No. 3 of 2003. EACC has therefore recommended the prosecution of former CS Najib Balala, former tourism PS Lea Guyo, the managing partner of West Consult Engineers Joseph Odero, former ICT manager of Tourism Fund Flora Ngina, former CEO of the Catering Tourism and Development Levy Trustees, procurement manager of the Catering Tourism and Development Levy Trustees, Baseline Architects Maurice Njue, Ujenzi Consultants Director Rebman Malala, Amtech Consulting Engineers James Mwangi, and members of the tender committee. According to the Tourism Fund website, the institution was 77.74% complete as of December 2022 and is expected to graduate 3,000 students on campus every year when completed. Theo Masharia for KUTV.
Former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta and former Taveta MP Basil Criticos have moved to court over Taita Taveta land measuring slightly over 1,000 hectares. The duo have sued the Chief Lands Registrar and the Attorney General for failing to issue them with a certificate of title for the land. Here is Israel Omwai with the details.
In a joint court document filed at the Milimani High Court, Mama Ngina Kenyatta together with former Taveta MP Basil Criticos argue that they are both co-owners of Taita Taveta land, which they claim that before the subdivision of the land, they were the registered owners as joint proprietors, but later parties divided the land and transferred subdivision, which were registered and given their respective certificate of title. In the document, the duo further claimed that in October 2022, after the parties divided the land, What remained was 1,062.3 hectares of land. The complainant notes that he went ahead and applied to the Lands Office for registration of land that had remained, but to date, they haven't been issued with a title, which proves they are the legal owners and that what they have is only a certificate of title processed in their joint names. The two who have listed Attorney General Justin Muturi as a respondent added that they are yet to be issued the title deed despite being the actual owners of the land, arguing that only the land registrar can explain why they have been denied the title deed. Justice John Chigeti certified the matter as urgent and allowed the two to challenge the issues raised and to serve their motion within 14 days. The matter will be mentioned on March 5th to report compliance. Israel Omwai, KUTV.
Okay, it's at this point that we take our very first commercial break here, but we're coming back with more stories on the other side.
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bwari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
By definition, is that the state is in charge of all children regardless of race, status, and their backgrounds. And it's mainly because the parents are also citizens of the country. They are the taxpayers. And they have given the obligation, through responsibility to the state.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday, we ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
Greetings to you, our cherished viewer. As we celebrate the joy of Christmas, I am taking this moment to thank you from the deepest point of my heart. Thank you for keeping it KUTV, and thank you for being a constant presence in our news community throughout the year. Your trust and support has meant the world for us. So as we celebrate this Christmas season, I am wishing you a Merry Christmas and a joyous New Year filled with warmth, prosperity, and a continued connection with us. Happy holidays and keep it KUTV.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Dennis Omondi.
Chari Ward member of Isolo County Assembly Abdillahi Golicha Major and his accomplice Noura Abdidiba have been arrested. The two were found with 57 rolls of bang by the Transnational Organized Crime Unit officers who had flagged them down at Isolo town. The officers followed them to Noura's house in the outskirts of Isolo town, where the illegal drugs were found stashed in gunny bags. The exhibits have since been transported to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters as the two suspected drug traffickers undergo investigations. And in our feature tonight, climate crisis is a problem that has persisted for a long period of time, and urgent action is needed to mitigate its impacts. Despite the hurdles that Kenya is facing in tackling the climate crisis, the government is determined to work together with aligned partners and organizations to tackle climate change. Kiki Blessing gives what has been the status of Kenya's climate action in 2023.
According to the National Drought Management Authority, in January to June 2023, communities in the arid and semi-arid lands in Kenya were struggling to recover from 5 consecutive seasons of below-average rainfall. Over 5.4 million people were projected to face acute food insecurity between March and June, of which 1.2 people were in emergency. As of August 2023, NDMA revealed that 2 counties, including Kitui and Taita Taveta, remained in alert drought phase, while 17 other counties, including West Pokot, Baringo, Turkana, Samburu, Laikipia, Narok, Kajiado, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Embu, Makueni, Tana River, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Lamu and Kilifi are in normal drought phase. Elsewhere, 4 other counties, Marsabit, Isiolo, Nyeri and Kwale, were in the recovery drought phase. Kenya faced severe drought conditions that had persisted for an extended period. These conditions resulted in water scarcity, crop failure, and significant stress on both rural and urban centers. Not long after, the Kenya Meteorological Department predicted a likely surge in global temperature, disruptive weather, and climate patterns that will continue in the following months, causing El Niño. Met predicted a 90% probability of the El Niño rains, expecting it to be at least moderate in strength. World Health Organization advised counties to prepare for possible disease outbreaks such as malaria and cholera. Similarly, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in March gave a report on climate change, highlighting the devastating impact that the climate change has caused on the people of Kenya. In addition, President William Ruto in April emphasized on the severe and urgent impact of climate change in Africa, acknowledging the legacy of Professor Wangari Maathai, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate known for her work on environmental sustainability. Ruto recognized the elevating environmental conservation and sustainability since it is an imperative for African countries. President Ruto also held talks with the Chancellor Olaf Scholz of Germany in May 5th, addressing on the climate crisis, renewable energy, regional peace, and workforce development, disclosing that the German-Kenya Climate and Energy Partnership is aimed at deepening collaboration in climate-resilient development, renewable energy, green hydrogen production, and sustainable agriculture.
We have immense potential for renewable energy. Reducing costs of renewable energy technologies make this the most viable energy source. Kenya is on transition to clean energy that will support jobs, local economies, and sustainable industrialization.
In the last trimester of the year, Kenya experienced a tragic turn of events as El Niño began to take effect, bringing relief to the parched landscapes with increased rainfall rejuvenating the land. But it also brought with it a widespread destruction of property, loss of life, increased disease outbreaks, and displacement. On Sunday, September 3rd, the African Youth Climate Summit took place where President Ruto received a declaration from the youth. The declaration called for the establishment of a Youth Assembly for Climate Governance, a global green bank representing youth interest, and a UN Youth Office in Africa. The youth also advocated for their inclusion in global decision-making on climate issues.
It's the first time Africa is mobilizing itself, putting their ideas, putting their suggestions, and suggesting the way we resolve the climate change puzzle.
Few days later, Ruto put forward a proposal for new global taxes and reforms to international financial institutions in September 6th that aimed at providing funds for climate change action, as well as mobilizing efforts to address extreme weather, conserving natural resources, and advancing renewable energy development. On the other hand, the government set aside November 13, 2023 for the National Tree Planting Campaign in order to support President William Ruto's national initiative of planting 15 billion trees that will help mitigate the effects of climate change so as to conserve the environment by 2032. The agricultural sector also witnessed a promising recovery as the rain replenished soil moisture, allowing farmers to resume planting and cultivation activities. This improved conditions that led to hopes of better crop yields and enhanced food security. On Tuesday, November 21st, President Ruto again called for stronger international cooperation to combat climate change, poverty, and conflicts after the heavy rains had intensified. However, the affected families displayed resilience and adaptability, leveraging government support and local initiative to cope with the challenges posed by El Niño.
The escalating severity of climate change is particularly acute and poignant in Africa, a continent that, despite its minimal contribution to global emissions, finds itself at the forefront of environmental vulnerability. In Africa, with less buffers to address climate change challenges, we feel the impact more directly and more acutely.
Despite that, the government worked diligently with the Kenya Red Cross to provide relief aid, distribute resources, and implement programs to support the affected communities and families during the heavy rains. And on Sunday, 4th December, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua announced the release of about 451 million Kenyan shillings that will be as a cash transfer to the poor and vulnerable families in Garissa County, and 58.3 million will go to the 7,199 houses that were affected by the floods.
We are here to ensure your comfort at this time of crisis. We have released 451,000 Kenya shilling 19,000 poor and vulnerable households in 8 arid counties including Garissa. Kwa sababu sisi tunasema vile serikali kuu inafanya, tunasimamisha miradi ya maendeleo. Kwanza tulishe wananchi, turekebishe barabara, tununue madawa. Hata serikali za county tunaomba nyinyi kwa heshima, munaweza simamisha mambo zingine zote. Zile pesa ziko muweke kwa mambo ya kusaidia wananchi wakati wa shida. Hii shida ikiisha, tutaendelea na mambo yale ambayo tulikuwa tumepanga.
The government also on Sunday, December 17th, announced plans to compensate farmers who had lost crops and livestock to floods occasioned by the El Niño rains. According to Agriculture Principal Secretary Paul Rono, measures have already been put in place to ensure that enough funds are raised to compensate affected families, particularly from the arid and semi-arid areas.
We are still coming up with figures because it is still continuous, but the government is trying to catch up to see how best the affected families are assisted.
As the country moves forward from this transformative year, the government says that it will improve its efforts to ensure sustainable practices, effective disaster preparedness, and resilience building measures to mitigate the impact of future environmental challenges. Kiki Blessings, KUTV.
Okay, thank you so much, Kiki. Blessings for that feature. We take another short break here. We are coming back with sports news.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za tarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalonukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
First time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this.
Yeah.
Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
Once again, we've made it to the end of the year.
At KUTV,
we thank you for being with us throughout the year.
And we hope to see more of you in the coming years.
Kwa moyo mkunjufu
na furaha tele tele kutoka kwetu hapa KUTV,
tunachukua fursa hii
kukutakia Krismasi ya kufana. May the joy of the season linger and the new year bring you prosperity.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That crowd there was mad for me.
You realize what just happened?
Don't stress, it's just rock and roll.
The police?
Is everything okay with Nami?
Joffrey, I'm afraid I have some bad news. The investors decided to pull out of the deal, stating that your family scandal would make a mockery of their image.
To look for high quality friends.
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, you know Portmore. That's my village.
Kanga kitini hapo ukinyedhia ukikatia mademo akipita.
Naweza sasa hii nimekuja kukopesa choo.
Welcome back. Now into the sports news. 1,500 and 5,000 meters champion Faith Kipyegon and long distance runner Kelvin Kiptum have been named Africa's best and finest athletes in 2023 in an award organized by the Confederation of African Athletes. The Duos Awards come against the backdrop of the World Athlete of the Year crowns after their exemplary performances on track and off-track races. Kipyegon beat the Ethiopian duo of Tigist Hasefa and Gudaf Segei to second and third place in the female category, while Kiptum floored the likes of Soufiane El Bakali of Morocco and Hughes Fabrice Zango of Burkina Faso to be crowned Africa's best. Okay, that's all we had for you this Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Dennis Omondi. My sign language interpreter this evening has been Mutava Mwongeli. See you again some other time.